Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In our today's lecture, we'll be covering another topic from the field of numerical methods, and this method deals with the object to find out the optimum value of a function of single variable. As we have seen in our previous lecture, if you remember, we used the golden section search method in order to approximate the optimum value of a function of single variable. This is another technique which will be providing us the same kind of information or assistance. As usual, in the beginning we'll be describing the theory of this method, and at the end we shall be applying the theory developed in order to solve few questions. This method is, the working of this method is almost the same. Will be given a function of single variable, along with will be provided an interval in which at the most one optimum value of the function lies, and then we shall be finding the optimum value on the basis of the given information. So let's start the theory of the method. The title of the method is successive parabolic interpolation, and the other name of this method is the quadratic interpolation. Successive parabolic interpolation or the quadratic interpolation, if you remember, if we have 2 points in a plane, then we know that only a unique line can go pass through these 2 points. Similarly, if we have 3 points, so then there would be only a unique curve, and that curve is generally known as the parabolic curve. And this method of successive parabolic interpolation depends upon this principle that we are going to use the parabolic curve in order to approximate the optimum value of a function of single variable. Here we are given a function, and the function is say f of x, along with the initial conditions or the interval. We are providing 3 initial guess points, x1, x2 and x3. On the basis of these 3 interval points, we'll be looking for the optimum value of the function. From the optimum means we can either locate the maximum value of the function or for the minimum value of the function. So for convenience point of view, we shall be constructing the theory to obtain the optimum, means the maximum value in this particular case, which we are going to describe, is to calculate. For the maximum value of the function, will be showing all these informations on a straight line. So this is the interval, and these points are appearing as x1 the left boundary point, and x2 is somewhere in between these 2 endpoints, and x3 is the right boundary point. And then we go in search of the 4th point within this interval of x1 and x3, and that 4th point can be either on the right of x2 or on the left of x2. So this can be possible, and depending upon the nature of the question, so for the time being we assume that x4 is on the right side of the interval. Now the question arises, how do we find out this x4? In order to find out x4, first of all we have to develop a formula, and that formula will assist us in order to locate this value of x4. And from that value we can decide either x4 lies on the right side of x2 or left side of x2, depending upon the value of x4. So how we calculate x4? In order to do this, we shall be taking help from the given information, which are in the form of the 3 points, x1 and x2 and x3. Here we are using the 3-point Lagrange's interpolation. If you remember, the 3-point Lagrange's interpolation for these 3 points, there will be a polynomial, and we represent this polynomial, say p function of x, and the corresponding polynomial will be x minus x2 x minus x3 whole divided by x1 minus x2, x1 minus x3 and the function at x1. So this will be your 3-point Lagrange's interpolation, and this is your first part of the or first step in order to construct the polynomial. The second will be plus x minus x1 x minus x3 whole divided by x2 minus x1 and x2 minus x3 and f of x2, and plus x minus x1 x minus x2 whole divided by x3 minus x1 x3 minus x2 and the function's value at x3. So this is the Lagrange's polynomial on the basis of these 3 points. Now you can see here this polynomial is consisting of 3 terms, and all of these are coming from these use of these 3 points. Now as I told you that this method is based upon the parabolic curve, and parabolic curve, if it is just like that, it contains the maximum here. If it is like that, so there will be only one minimum here. So we'll be making use of this principle, and in order to locate these two, we have to find out the critical points, and for the critical points, if you remember, we have to differentiate it. So we'll be first differentiating this polynomial which we have written down from the Lagrange's interpolation. Whenever you differentiate it, you will be obtaining the terms. If you can see from here in the numerator, these are the 2 variables of x. We have to differentiate it with respect to x, the whole polynomial, while x1, x2 and x3 are constants because these are the points, and we are using the given information in the form of the points. So the variable of integration will be x. Whenever we we are differentiating. So whenever we are going to differentiate it with respect to x, we'll be obtaining the results like these. So p prime of x, this will be equals to, from here we'll be obtaining 2 terms. The first term will be x minus x2 whole divided by x1 minus x2 from here, and x1 minus x3 and f of x1. We have differentiated this one with respect to x and keeping it as it is, and the denominator as it is, and this part will be also there. The second term, whenever we keep this term as it is and differentiating this, we will be getting x minus x3 whole divided by x1 minus x2, x1 minus x3 and f of x1. So these 2 terms are coming from the first part of this polynomial. Now we are going to differentiate on the same pattern. For the second term, we will be obtaining x minus x3 whole divided by x2 minus x1, x2 minus x3 and f of x2 will be there, plus second time derivative will give you x minus x1 over x2 minus x1, x2 minus x3 and f of x2. So these 2 terms comes from here. The third term, whenever we differentiate it with respect to x, gives you x minus x2 whole divided by x3 minus x1 and x3 minus x2, f of x3, and second will be x minus x1 whole divided by x3 x1, x3 x2 and f of x3. So these are the terms we obtained from the derivative of this polynomial with respect to x. And we know that whenever we differentiate it, now we are going to equate the derivative equals to 0 in order to generate the point where we are getting the optimum value. So for this, we are using the relation p prime of x, or putting it is equals to 0. Whenever we put it equals to 0, the entire right hand side will be equals to 0. So you can substitute this and taking this quantity equals to 0. So I eliminate this part from here and equate this quantity equals to 0 directly without putting the results here. You can add this step in the derivation of the formula. Okay, after putting the result equals to 0, now you have to solve this whole polynomial with respect to x. You can see here all the terms containing x, and this will be not very simple to separate x from all these terms. For this you have to do a lot of calculations, and after simplifying we'll be getting the formula. So I'm writing here directly the formula without giving you the details. If we are going to separate x, it will take a lot of time and it is not of any use, so we are going to use the formula directly from this result. So here, after separating, we'll be getting a result like this: f of x1, x2 square, x3 square plus f of x2, x3 square, x1 square, f of x1, 3, x2 square and x1 square, whole divided by, the term will be 2 times f of x1, x2 minus x3, f of x2, x3 minus x1, f of x3 and x2 minus x1. So this is the formula we obtained from this result, which we have put them equals to 0 just by separating x from the entire term. And this x is now giving you the next value. Initially we have 3 points, x1, x2 and x3. These were given in the statement, or these will be provided whenever you are going to solve the question. So we label the new value for x as x4. Okay. So after finding this x4 by using this formula will give you a number. Of course, this will be in the form of a number. And on the basis of this number, we will be deciding either x4 will be on the left of x2 or on the right of x2. Whatever the value, if it is bigger than the value of x2, of course, then it will be on the right of x2. If it is lesser than the value of x2, so this will be definitely on the left of x2. So after doing this, the next step is, now we able to use this formula to find out the better approximation for the optimum value. So there now we have to find out or decrease a part of the interval from the whole domain, so that we can reduce the length of the interval in order to obtain the optimum value. So now, after finding x4 from this formula, then we calculate the function's value at x4. Okay. So these are the intervals point x1, x2 and x3, and suppose this value for the time being is bigger than x2, and this gives you a value on the right of x2. Now we can calculate the function's value at x1, x2 and x3, x4 and x3. And after calculating the values at these points, now we have to check, because we are looking for the maximum of the function. For the time being, we are using the case whenever we are locating the maximum value. The same you can use for the minimum as well. There will be no difference at all. So here, after constructing or finding the values of these two interior points, then you have to make the comparison of these two values. There will be a relation in between them, f of x2 and f of x4. So the relation can be either this f of x2 is greater than of f of x4, or this can be less than f of x4. If these are equal, this could be the third case. If these are equal, then there is no need to go anywhere. We are at the optimum point. So the situation is like this, whenever we have two different relations, either f of x2 is bigger than f of x4, or f of x2 is less than f of x4. So collectively there are few cases, and we summarize all the cases so that we can understand how we have to go for the next iteration whenever we reach to this level. Because whenever we are at one level of your iteration, then to go to the next iteration, we have to introduce certain changes. And what are those changes? So for this, we assume we are writing the few cases there. The case number one is, we are assuming that x2 is on the left of x4. In other words, x4 is less than, x4 is greater than x2. This indicates the value of x4 will be on the right of x2 as it is appearing in this case. And here we, whenever we find out the function value, so there will be two cases. Either f of x2 is less than f of x4, or second case can be either f of x2 is greater than f of x4. Okay, so this is the first case in which we are taking x4 on the right of x2 due to x4 is bigger than x2. So there can be two possibilities. Either the function's value at x2 is less than the function value at x4, or the function value at x2 is bigger than the function's value at x4. Now, whenever this situation is there, I'm talking about this situation, in which case we are looking for the maximum. For the maximum, we go for the bigger value. And you can see here, function's value is bigger than the function's value at x2. I repeat, the function's value at x4 is bigger than the function's value at x2. I'm considering this case only. I'm not talking about this case. For this case, whenever the situation is like that, the function value at x4 is bigger than the function's value at x2, then you have to place yourself at the optimum value. This is your optimum place. And now you suppose you are standing here and you look around yourself. There are two other points which are neighboring points. You can see x2 is on the left side and x3 is on the right side. So in this situation, whenever the value at x2 is lesser than the value at x4 and we are standing at x4, so we have to look around ourselves. There are two other points which are of course the neighboring point. So x2, x4 will be x3 will be your new domain, and the section from x1 to x2, this can be discarded from the domain because the optimum lies in between these 3 points. I hope you can understand how actually we can drop down the interval from the whole domain for this situation. Wherever we have the optimum value, we have to place ourselves there and look around yourself the other two values and drop the fourth one. So the new domain in this case will be x2, x4 and x3. Do not change the sequence of the number. You have to keep the order of all these numbers as it is. This is important. If you shuffle and interchange the values, of course you are not getting the true value. So we keep the order, and the new domain is x2, x4 and x3. This is the situation whenever we are working for this case. Now similarly for the case number 1 and part number 2, whenever we are working for this situation in which we are looking for the maximum, and you can see the maximum is at x2. So in such case we'll be placing ourselves at x2. This is your new position corresponding to this case or situation. The value we are looking, which is maximum value, so maximum value is at x2. So we'll place ourselves at x2 and look around yourself the other 2 points. The other 2 points are x1 and x4. So the 4th point, which is x3, so this section will be now dropped down from the domain. So in this situation, the new domain will be consisting of 3 points, x1, x2 and x4. So this is the way through which we can decide which part of the interval can be discarded and which you have to keep. Now you can understand we worked on this situation whenever x4 is on the right side of x2. A similar kind of situation arises whenever we have x4 on the left of x2. So what happens there? Let's see the case number 2. Case number 2 says whenever x4 is less than x2. This indicates that x4 will be on the left of x2. Let me show it here. So the 4 points are x1, x4, x2 and x3. So this is the situation whenever x4 is on the left side of x2. You can see here x4 is on the left of x2. Now again there are 2 possibilities. The first possibility is the function's value at x4 is less than the function's value, function's value at x2 is less than the function's value at x4. We are looking for the maximum, so this indicates the f of x4 is bigger than f of x2. So optimum is at x4. So we'll be placing ourselves here. This is your standing position, and you'll be looking other 2 points around yourself, and the other points are x1 and x2. So the section from x2 to x3 will be dropped down from the domain, and the new domain will be consisting of x1, x4 and x2. So this is your new domain for this situation. Similarly, whenever we take the case where f of x2 is bigger than f of x4. Now you can see optimum is at x2. So we shall be now placing ourselves at x2. This is your optimum position in this situation, and the other 2 points around it are x4 and x3. So the section from x1 to x4 will be dropped down, and the new domain for the next iteration will be x4, x2 and x3. So this will be the situation whenever optimum is at x2, and the same can be done for the minimum case. And whenever you are working for the minimum case, so you have to look for the lower value. Wherever the lower value lies, you have to place yourself there. And for the maximum, you have, of course, you have to look at the bigger value. So now, after knowing all these informations, the next step is, of course, to go to the next iteration. I hope you can understand all these steps, how actually we discard a section and how we have to use the new domain for the next iteration. And the one important point is you always have to keep the sequence of these numbers intact. There should be no difference and no change in these orders. Okay, now to take start of the next iteration, if I am using this part, I work for this case. So the domain is lying in between x2, x4, left to right on this side, x2, x4 and x3. This is your new domain. If I show it just by drawing a straight line and showing these 3 points here, so you can see here x2 is now playing the role of your left hand boundary point. So x2 changes to x1, means x2 old changes to x1 new. x3 is still the right hand boundary point, so it is the same, there is no change. And the inner point, the interior point x4 will be automatically changed into the other point, because these are the 2 interior points. If we are working for x4, so x4 changes to x2, and if we are working on x2, the x2 will change into x4. So here we are working for x4, so x4 will be changed into x2. and the missing point is x4. So once again you will be using the formula which we have just written down and calculate the value of x4, and after calculating x4 find function's value, and once again make the comparison of the values. You will be seeing that either x4 will be on the left of x2 or on the right of x2. It depends upon the value. Similarly, if we are working for this situation, we are having this situation in which x1, if I draw the straight line here, x1, x2 and x4. So you can see here x1 is still the left hand boundary point. It is remaining the same. x4 now plays a right hand boundary point, so it changes to x3. x1 old remains x1 new, x4 old goes to x3, and x2, you can understand now, x2 will change into what? The x2 as it is. As I told you, x2 will be the interior point. Previously I had told you perhaps x2 will be changed into x4. It is not the case. The x2 will remain the same, but only x4 will be changed into x2. So x2 remains the same. So you can see here the 3 points are x1, x2 and x3. So again the missing point is x4. You will be going in order to find out x4, and x4 can be obtaining by using the same formula. Similarly, if we are working in this situation of x1, x4, x2, so the situation will be like that. If I draw it here, x1, x4 and x2, I'm talking about these 3 points. x1 still is the right hand boundary point, so it remains x1, x4 changes to x2 and x2 goes to x3. So each time you will be looking for the x4. So it's the same, you can understand, you can do you can make the changes in this case as well according to the previous 3 cases. So important thing is x2 doesn't change, okay, note it down, but whenever you have x4 in as an interior point like this, so it will be changed automatically into x2. So these changes you have to note down, because these are the steps where the student gets sometimes confused and they do mistake, and of course they are not then getting the correct answer. So here we have to be a bit careful how we are going to make the changes in order to go to the next approximation. So after doing all this theory and all the necessary information regarding this method, the next step is, of course, we have to apply the theory in order to solve a question. So let's write down the question. Okay, the statement of the question is, I'm using the question, we are provided a function f of x equals to 2 sine of x minus x squared by 10, and we are looking for the maximum of this function whenever you are provided x1 equals to 0, x2 is equals to 1 and x3 is equals to 4. So we are looking for the maximum for this function. Okay. Now this is the interval in which the only one extreme value or the optimum value of the function lies. In other words, this is unimodal type of interval. Unimodal model means containing only one optimum value. Either it is maximum or the minimum. Okay, now we proceed in order to locate the, or in order to approximate the optimum value. So here f of x is 2 sine x minus x squared by 10. Function's value at x1 is f of 0 is equals to 2 sine of 0, and 0 over 10, this is equals to 0. F of x2 is f of 1, 2 sine 1, 1 square over 10. So this gives you 1.5829. And the third value for x3 is f of 4 2 sine of 4 minus 4 square over 10, 3.1136. So this is the output for x3. Now we have to move to the x4, the 4 This is the basically iteration number 1. Now to go for the calculation of x4, we have to make use of the formula. So you have to memorize the formula. The formula is f of x1, x2 square, x3 square into plus f of x1, 2 into x3 square, x1 square, f of x3, x1 square, x2 square, whole divided by 2 times f of x1, x2 minus x3, x2, x3, x1, x3, x1 and x2. Okay. So this is the formula we are going to make use. We have derived this formula and now we are using in order to obtain the optimum value. So we have all the information. We can put all these information into this formula. So here f of x1 is 0, so this part will be getting 0 plus fx2 1.5829 for this value, and x3 square. x3 square means 4 square minus 0 plus this is minus 3.1136. Inside this gives you x1 minus x2. So 0 minus 1 square whole divided by 2 times 0, 1.5829, 4 minus 0, 1136, 0 minus 1. Okay. Now you can make use of your calculators, and on simplifying you will be obtaining a result 1.5055. Okay. So this is the value for x4, and then we have to find the functions value as well. So here we calculate the functions value at x4. The functions value at x4 is 2 sine of 1.5055 minus 1.5055 square over 10. So whenever you simplify it, you will be getting 1.7691. So these are the results we obtained so far, and now we are showing them on the interval in the form of straight line. So these are the points x1, x2 and x3. Now you can check. The value of x2 is 1 and x4 is 1.5. So this indicates that x4 will be on the right of x2. So x1 will be of course the left hand boundary point, which is 0. x2 will be here, that is equals to 1, and x4 is equals to 1.5055. This is bigger than 1. This is on the right. And the right hand boundary point is x3. This is equals to 4. And the function's value at x2 we have calculated is 1.5829, and the function's value at x4 is, this is equals to 1.7691. And the function's value at x1 you can write down for your memory point view, and similarly fx3 is minus 3.1136. So these are the information so far we gather from this calculation in the form of just a straight line. Now we have to decide for the new domain, because we are working for the maximum, so we have to look for the bigger value. So here you can see the function at x4 is bigger than the function at x2. So you can write down here as the function's value at x4 is bigger than the function's value at x2, so you can see okay, we are having the optimum value at x4. So we shall be placing ourselves here. This is your center point, and we'll be looking at the other 2 points around it, x2 and x3, and dropping the 4th point. So therefore, the maximum of f of x lies in between the 3 new points, and the 3 new points are x2, x4 and x3, and you can see the optimum point will always be the somewhere in between the 2 other points. So this is your new domain. So till here you complete your first iteration. Now to go for the next iteration number 2, we have to make certain changes. You can see here x2 is somewhere here, x4 is the interior point, and x3 is on the right side. So you can see x2 is now playing the role of the left hand boundary point. So x2 old will be now playing the role of x1 new. So x2, which was equals to 1, is now your x1, and the corresponding function's value will be at x1 new is 1.5829, and the interior point will be changed into x2. So x4 old changes to x2 new, and this gives you x4 was 1.5055, and the corresponding value at new x2 is 1.7691. And the right hand boundary, it doesn't change because it is still on the right boundary. So x3 old will remain x3 new, so this is equals to 4, and f of x3 is also the same. So here you can see we got the new 3 points, x1, x2 and x3, and the missing term is x4. And now once again you will be using the formula which we have written down. I hope you can use the formula of yourself now, and I'm writing the result of x4 directly just to save the time. So after using x4, this gives you 1.4903. I have calculated this value by using the quadratic formula or the successive parabolic interpolation formula. The same thing is there, and after simplification we got this result, and all these results we are calculating up to 4 decimal places. You can increase the decimal places for your accuracy point of view. So the corresponding value of the function at x4, as we have done here, just by putting the value of x4, so we have now the new value of x4. So after putting this value into the f of x and simplify, you will be getting 1.7714. So this is the result so far we obtained. Okay. And after calculating these informations, now we bring all these informations on the straight line. So let me show all this information here. So this is your interval. x1 is on the left side, which is 1, and the corresponding value of x1 is 1.5829. And now compare the x2 and x4. x2 is 1.5 and x4 is 1.49. So x4 is lesser than x2. So this will be on the left of x2. So I constructed here. This is your x4, which is 1.4903, and the corresponding value at x4 is we have calculated 1.7714, and the x2 is now bigger than x4, so it will be on the right. So x2 here is 1.50 double 5, and the corresponding value of f of x2 is 1.7691, and the right boundary is still x3, which is equals to 4, and the corresponding value at x4 is minus 3.1136. Okay, so after doing all this, now you can see okay, that's fine. Now we have to decide which one is bigger, because we are looking for the maximum value. So you can make the comparison of these two values. Of course, this one is bigger. So this indicates that the function's value at x4 is bigger than the function's value at x2. As we are looking for the maximum value, so the optimum point will be at x4. So here we write down as f of x4 is bigger than the function's value at x2, so the optimum will be at x4. Okay, then you have to decide the other 2 points around it, x1 on the left, x2 on the right, and the fourth point will be dropped down. So therefore, the maximum of the function fx lies in between the 3 points x1, x4 and x2. So this is now playing the role of your new domain. And till here, this is the completion of your iteration number 2. After completing your iteration number 2, now we work for the iteration number 3. In order to go for the iteration number 3, we have to make certain changes in the domain's value. And x1, you can see here, x1 is here, x4 is the interior point, and x2 is on the right. So x1 doesn't change. Let me erase all this and we write down all the values once again. Okay, x1 now is the left hand boundary point, so it remains as it is. It doesn't change. So x1 is equals to 1, and the corresponding value of the function at x1 is 1.5829. x4 changes to, x4 old changes to x2 new, and this is equals to, you can see here, 1.4903, and the corresponding value at new x2 is 1.7714. And the right boundary x2 will be playing the role of right boundary, so x2 old changes to x3 new, and this is equals to now 1.5055, and the corresponding value of x3 is 1.7691. And once again you go in search of the new x4. And whenever you use the quadratic interpolation formula for these new informations, and on putting the values into the formula and simplifying them, you will be obtaining the new value for x4, and this is equals to 1.4256. And then we calculate the corresponding value of the function, and this is equals to 1.7757. You can put the functions, this value of x4 into the function and obtain this result. Okay, now we obtain all the 4 points. Now we show them on the straight line, and then we decide which part of the domain we have to discard. Okay, so this was your interval. x1 is here, x1 is 1, and f of x1 is 1.5829. x2 is, okay, now you have to make the comparison. Which one is lesser? x4 is lesser. So this will be on the left of x2, you can see here. So x4 will come first. This is equals to 1.4256, and x2 will be having the bigger value, will be having on the right, 1.4903. And the right boundary is x3, which is 1.5055. So these are the information, and the corresponding values at x4 is, you can see x4 is 1.7757, and at x2 is, we have already calculated it, 1.7714. Okay, and the right boundaries value is 1.7691. Okay, we have all the information now. Then you have to decide on making the comparison of these two values. Which one is bigger? We can see here x4 is once again bigger than the value at x2. So this situation again holds, and again the domain lies in between the x1, because the optimum is here, x1, x4, and x2 will be your new domain. Okay, and you can proceed for the next iteration of yourself, and you can do many more iterations of yourself. But whenever you do more and more iterations, you will see this looks a never-ending process. Of course, this is a never-ending process because we are using the approximations, and approximations will be getting closer and closer, but always there will be some flaw or the gap, and that is generally known as the error. So in order to stop this, where we have to stop this? In order to stop this, we have to set some criteria. And we set, as I told you in our previous lecture of golden section search method, generally we set some tolerance in the form of the error. Whenever the error is less equals to a particular value that we set in advance, then we can say, okay, that's fine, we can stop it here now. So in this case, if we say, okay, whenever the error is less equals to this number, this is generally we take in order to check the error. Whenever we get this, the error less equals to this number, we can then stop. And now the question is, how we can calculate the error? So in order to calculate the error, first of all, I'm going to show all these information we have gathered through these 3 iterations, or I have done a few more iterations. I'll show those results directly. So then we start calculating the error. There is a formula, we shall be using it, and this formula you already know about it. There is nothing different. Let me tell you first how we express all these informations on in the form of a table, and that will be a better picture to see in order to decide, in order to see either we are converging towards the optimal value or not. Okay, so this is most important. So now we are constructing the table. Okay, in order to construct the table, we have to write down the values in the same order as we have just calculated them. The first column will be, of course, the number of iterations. I show it by the number sign. Then we calculate the value of x1. So for the first iteration, the value of x1 was 0.000, and the corresponding value of x1, that was also equals to 000. And then we calculated x2. x2 was equals to 1, and the corresponding value of x2 we had calculated, if you remember, 1.5829. 1.5829. Then we go in search of x3. x3 was 4,000, and the corresponding value of the function at x3 was minus 3.1136. After that, we used the quadratic interpolation formula, and we calculated x4, and this was 1.5055, and the corresponding value for x4 was 1.7691. And lastly, of course, the errors column. Okay. So for the first iteration, we leave it as it is. But for the second iteration, we shall be calculating the error. For the second calculation, second iteration, we have gathered the information on making the comparison of the functions value. These are the two function values, this one and this one. This one is bigger, so we keep it ourselves at x4, and if you remember, this was x1. x4 is bigger than x2, so x2 was on the left side and x4 was on the right side, and this is your x3. So for the next iteration, the optimum is here, so this part of the domain will be dropped, and the new domain will be consisting of these 3 points. For the next iteration, x2 goes under x1, x4 goes to x2, and x3 doesn't change. So I am going to make these changes in these values. So the result will be x1 will be 1.0000, x2's value goes under x1, and the corresponding value is of the function is 1.5829, and x4 goes under x2. So x4 is, I'm writing here 1.5055, and the corresponding value is 1.7691. Okay, and x3 doesn't change, so it remains as it is 4.000 and minus 3.1136. And then we calculate the value of x4 by using the quadratic formula, and there we had obtained 1.4903, and the corresponding value of the function is 1.7714. And now we calculate the error. So kindly note down the formula to calculate the error. This is the same formula which we have seen when we were studying about the error analysis. So there we have seen this formula. So here we write down the formula is the value of x optimal, the present value, x optimum present, minus the x optimum value, which is the previous value, whole divided by the x optimum, the present value. Okay, and take the absolute value and multiply by 100 for percentage. So this is the formula we use. X optimum present means for the current iteration, which one is the optimum point, and x previous optimum means is the previous iteration which was made optimum. We have to put these values in place of these and then make the calculation. So for this calculation, you can see here, if we make the comparison of these two in this iteration, on making the comparison of these two function values at x2 and x4. So this one is bigger. So your current x optimum present optimum is this one, and the previous optimum from this iteration. And in the previous iteration, we had the optimum value this one. So this was your previous optimum. On putting these values, 1.7714 minus, and this value goes here, so we can use this value as well, 1.7691 whole divided by the present value 1.7714 and 100 for percentage. And whenever you make use of your calculators, so you will be getting these results. So the error in this case of your iteration is 1.02. So this is the way to calculate the error. Now if we write down a few more iteration number 3 which we have done, the initial x1 was 1.00, x function value at x1 is 1.5829, then we have x2, so this value goes under x2, 1.4903, 1.7714 and 1.50 the right hand boundary has changed, so x2 goes under this, x3 1.5055 and 1.7691 is your functions value at x3. Then we calculate x4 by using the quadratic formula, and the value of x4 was 1.4056 and the corresponding value is 1.7745. And whenever we use the formula for the error calculation, the error will in this case is 4.532 or 533. So you can see here, in this case the error looks, okay, it is getting increasing. Let's do one more iteration. The result we obtained for the fourth iteration, I hope you can do it of yourself and make the verification of the results. So in this case, x1 remains same, 1.5829. x2, the optimum is here, it goes under this 1.4056 and the function value is 1.7745. okay, and then this value goes under this 1.4903, 1.7714, and we calculate x4 by using the quadratic interpolation formula, and this gives you 1.4266 and 1.7757. And whenever you calculate the error is 0.06 and 7. So here you can see in this iteration it was looking perhaps the error is getting bigger, but instantly after doing one more iteration it has reduced drastically, and this indicates that we are going to converge towards the optimum value. And hopefully whenever you do one more iteration, we'll be having an error which is less equals to perhaps this number, or with one or two more iterations. Now after doing this exercise, now we can understand that this method works almost on the same way as we have done in the case of the golden section search method, but with a slight change, but the basics are the same. One more important thing is you observe whenever you are doing this method and applying this in order to solve your question, you will see one of the endpoints gets fixed, as we have seen in the case of the regular Farsi method. Okay, when we were working on the regular Farsi method or the fast positioning method, so the one end gets fixed. You can see here, in this case, this end gets fixed and the other end starts moving towards the optimum value. So this will happen whenever you are applying this in order to solve the question. Now we are going to apply it for another question in which we are going to find out the minimum value of the function of the single variable. So let's see how actually we look at the minimum. So in order to see the application of this method for the minimum case, we are provided a function, and the function is f of x equals to 2x plus 3 over x, and the initial cases are x1 equals to 0.1, x2 is equals to 0.5, and x3 is equals to x3 is equals to simplify. Okay, and now we are looking for the minimum. In the previous case we were looking for the maximum, now we go for the search of the minimum. So we take start the solution. So here this is the function, and for the iteration number 1 we calculate the function's value at x1 0.1, 0.1 plus 3 over 0.1, and whenever you simplify it you will be getting 30.2. Similarly, f of x2 0.5 plus 3 over 0.5 on simplifying will give you 7. fx3 f of 5, 2 into 5, 5 by 0.1, and it is equals to 10.6. Okay. So we calculated the function's values at all these 3 points. Now we go in search of x4. x4's value can be obtained as we have done in the previous case, but the formula is the same. I'm not writing the formula here. You can write it first and then put in the value. On substituting these values into the formula and simplifying can give you another result. This is 2.7167, and the corresponding value of the function at the x4 is 6.5376. So here you can see we obtain all the information we require for the first iteration. Now we show all these on the straight line. This is your interval. First compare the values of x. Either it is on the left of x2 or on the right of x2. x2 is 0.5 and this is 2.7. Of course this is quite bigger than x2, so it would be on the right of x2. So x1 is here, that is 0.1. x2 is here, 0.5. x4, which is 2.7167, and x3 is 5. The corresponding values are fx1, this is equals to 30.2, fx2 7, fx4 2.7167, and fx3 is equals to 10.6. Okay. Now we are looking for the minimum of the function. So you can see we have to make the comparison of these two functions' values. So as the value of the function at x4 is less than the value of the function at x2, this is lesser as compared to this one. Okay. Here we have written down, this is not the function value, function's value is this one, 6.5376. Okay. So make a correction. Even then, it is lesser than f of x2. So f of x4 is your value which is lesser than f of x4, x2. So the optimum at this moment is at x4. So we shall be standing here and looking for the other 2 points on the left, x2, on the right, x3, and the third, fourth point will be dropped out from the domain. So therefore, the minimum of the function f of x lies in between the 3 new points, and the 3 new points are x2, x4 and x3. You have to keep the order intact, x2, x4 and x3. So till here, this completes your iteration number 1. Now to proceed for the next iteration, we have to make certain changes. And what are those changes? You already know that. And the changes are, let me erase all this from here. Okay. So here x2, x4 and x3. If I show it here, x2, x4 and x3. x2 now, x2 old will be changing into x1 new, and this is equals to x2 0.5, and the corresponding value at new x1 is 7. x4 goes to x2 new, and this is equals to 2.7167, and the function's value at the new x2 is 6.5376, and right hand boundary doesn't change, so x3 remains as it is 5, and the corresponding value at x3 is again 10.6, and we go in search of x4 once again. So this is the so far situation here. After doing this, now we use the quadratic interpolation formula to approximate the x4 values for iteration number 2, and on using this will be getting for x4 is equals to 1.8444, and the corresponding value of at x4 is 5.3154. So these are the information we gather, and now we show them all collectively on the straight line. X1 is equals to 0.5, x4 is 1.8, x2 is 2.7. So this will be on the right of x4. So x4 comes first. This is 1.8444, and x2 is 2.7167, and x3 is 5. The corresponding value at x1 is 7, x4 is 5.3154, and the corresponding value at x2 is, you can check it here, this is 6.5376, and at x3 we have 10.6. And now you have to decide which one is the smaller, because we are looking for the minimum. So on making the comparison of these two, obviously this one is smaller. So here we write down as fx4 is less than fx2, so therefore the minimum of f of x lies in between the new domain. This is your optimum position, x1 on the left, x2 on the right. So the domain will be x1, x4 and x2, and the portion from x2 to x3 will be discarded. So till here this completes your iteration number 2, and you can proceed on the same lines, and I hope you can do it very easily now. After doing all these calculations, now we show them in the form of the table, as we have done in the case of the optimum maximum case. So let's draw a table. So whenever we write down all these values we so far obtained for the minimum case, here we write the table. The first column will be of course the iteration values, and next is the value of x1 0.100, and the function's value at x1 is 30.2, and the value of x2 0.5, and the corresponding value at x2 7. Then we calculated x3, this was equals to 5, and the corresponding values at x3 10.6, and then we go in search of x4 2.7167, and f of x4 is 6.5376, and the last column was of the error. The formula is the same, you have to use the formula in order to calculate the error. So this is the result obtained from the first iteration. Now to write down the second iteration, we have to see how we actually change the values. You can make the comparison of these two values. First x1, then on looking at these, you can see x2 is on the left, x4 is on the right, and x3 is there. And optimum, which is lower, is here. So new domain will be consisting of these two points. So this section will be dropped down. x2 goes to x1, x4 goes to x2, and x3 doesn't change. So keeping and making the changes accordingly, so x2's value goes under x1. x2 is 0.5, and the corresponding value is 7. Okay, x4 goes under x2. x4 is 2.7167, and the corresponding value is 6.5376. And x3, you can see it is not going to change, so I keep it as it is, 10.60. Okay, the x4 will be obtaining by using the quadratic interpolation formula, and we got 1.8444, and the corresponding value is 5.31, 5.3154. So we obtain this value for the iteration number 2. Okay. Now we can calculate the error by using the same formula. So error in this case is 47.2, and this is quite high error, and of course not acceptable. Now we proceed for the next iteration number 3, which we haven't calculated so far, but we are writing the results directly. 0.000. You can see here on making the comparison of these two. First, let me show it here. This is your x1, this is your x3, and x2 and x4 will be somewhere here. On looking at these two values, x4 is smaller than x2, so x4 will come first and x2 will be on the right. Now for the optimum value, we have to make the comparison of these. We are looking for the lower, so lower is at x4, so the optimum will be at x4. So the new domain will be consistent of these 3 points. Okay, and this section will be now dropped. And in order to go for the next, x1 will be changing x1, x4 goes to x2, and x2 will be changed into x3. So we are making these changes, and I'm writing the values directly. So the result will be 7.000 and 1.84. This value comes here. 5.3154. 5.3154, 27, this goes under this, 2.7167, 6.5376, and this can be calculated by using the quadratic formula, and the result is, we are working for the third iteration, 1.6954. And the corresponding value of the function is 5.1603, and the error in this case is 13.12, and you can see here it is gradually decreasing. Okay, perhaps I have done some mistake here. This is the result so far we obtained. The error here is 8.78, not 47. Okay, the error here is 13.12. It looks again, as we have seen in the previous case of maximum, this was slightly increasing, but whenever you do few more iterations, it starts decreasing. Let me write the result for another iteration number 4, 0.5. 1.68, 1.6954, 6954, 5.1603, and this goes under this 1.8444 and 5.3154. And this can be calculated by using the quadratic interpolation formula. So this is 1.4988, and the corresponding value is 4.992. And on calculating the error, this is 5.02. You can see it starts decreasing. And whenever you proceed many more iterations, and after almost 19 iterations, of course this is not very simple, the results will be 0.5, 7.000, 1.2268, 4.8990, 1.2277, 4.8990, 1.2262 4.8980, and the error will be 0.04, almost negligible, and this is the level where we have to reach. If you set this tolerance, suppose we are setting tolerance is less than 0.05, so it is less than 0.05. So till here you can see how actually these methods work. This method works for the maximum case as well as the minimum case, and I hope you can perform few more iterations for this question of yourself, just for your practice point of view, and do more questions from some good books in order to get a strong grip on this method of quadratic interpolation. So with this, thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum.